Problem number 1, dealing with the pressure of winning silverware. Arsenal's squad is stacked. Zubimendi, Odegaard, Madueke, Gyokeres. On paper, this is a team that should be competing for every trophy. After finishing second yet again, and watching Liverpool and City throw money around like me at the strip club, it became clear Arsenal had to strengthen. But let's not get it twisted. This isn't going to be some walk in the park. With new signings comes new concerns. Different profiles, different styles, and now the pressure has never been higher. Arteta is in phase 6 of his project. The Champions League run was nice, but the Gunners are at a point where you gotta see some silverware. In the 2025 season, pretty much every London club won something but Arsenal. Chelsea won the Club World Cup and the Conference League. Spurs won the Europa League, and Crystal Palace won the FA Cup. Now yes, some of these tournaments are not the most prestigious. Realistically, reaching the Champions League semi-finals is more impressive than winning the Conference League or Europa League. However, on the other hand, the aim of the sport is to win. As a club, you want to win titles. And if a team like Crystal Palace can win an FA Cup by beating Manchester City, then there's no excuse. Before, Arsenal got a pass for not winning the league because City were so dominant. Yet the 1 year they dropped off, the Gunners didn't take advantage. Yes, a lot of different factors were involved, from sketchy refereeing decisions to injuries.
It doesn't look good, particularly when you see the likes of Declan Rice out with a back issue, Bukayo Saka, who you've just been speaking about, also injured at the moment.
But Arsenal never really looked like proper contenders. Like, there is no doubt that the Saka injury ruined any chance the Gunners had. But even when he was healthy, they looked like a team that was trying not to lose rather than try to win.
When I see Liverpool play, it looks like they're trying to win it. I see other teams play, they look like, let's not lose it. Understand what I'm saying, obviously, so to speak.
So going into the new season, the pressure for winning a title will be greater than ever on Arteta. He's laid a great foundation. He has brought the team back to being among the elite. But the fans are starving for a cup. Problem number 2, integrating Zubimendi. Finally, after what felt like 100 fake announcements and photoshops, he's actually an Arsenal player. A Copa del Rey winner, a Euro 2024 champion, a guy who came on for Rodri in the final of the Euros and made Spain look even better. Zubimendi is a lot of things, but he isn't your typical number 6. He doesn't physically impose himself onto games like a Partey or Rice. He is a maestro, someone who dictates the tempo with his sharp passes and excellent positioning. He reads the game like a chess master. Chess is actually the perfect way to put it because he plays a lot of it. He was a champion in his local area at 11, and he still plays nowadays. The problem that Arteta has to deal with is integrating Zubimendi into a new league and new country. Because from the outside, Zubimendi's stats feel average compared to the hype that he received. He was ranked 19th out of 69 midfielders in La Liga for forward passes completed per game, and was down at 27th for progressive carries. His passing accuracy was only at 84.4%, which feels low for a player whose entire identity is about tempo setting. But this is why we don't fully rely on the numbers. Context and the eye test are massively important when it comes to judging players, because Zubimendi was at the heart of Real Sociedad's possession play. He had the most touches, passes, and carries in the squad in the 2025 season. His role was all about providing balance. He would float around the pitch, see who was under pressure, and offer himself as the spare man. It was Zubimendi who was responsible for getting La Real out of tricky situations. That's why, according to Skill Corner, close to 57% of his passes in the 2025 season were under pressure. Reportedly, only 9 other midfielders in La Liga absorbed a higher proportion of the pressures that the team received. That's what makes Zubimendi so good. He's not just fantastic on the ball, but he's quick with it, even when the opposition is breathing down his neck. Which is a great sign because naturally the speed in the Premier League is very high. But that shouldn't be a problem with Zubimendi because he's so good at breaking the lines with his passing. He was only second to Pedri when it came to passes that broke the first, second, and last opposition defensive line. Perfect example of what he can do can be seen in this clip against Celta Vigo, with Zubimendi producing 3 line-breaking passes in about 8 seconds. This is good for Arsenal, especially given how many haram low blocks they face. They now have a player that can split defenses open and progress the ball. A better version of Jorginho. As you can see from this graphic, most of his line-breaking passes are quick, direct, short passes, but that's perfect because his role is just to get the ball up the pitch fast. From there, the likes of Saka, Odegaard, and Rice can take over. Rice is able to play deeper in midfield, but Zubimendi is a natural when it comes to helping the team build up from the back. On the ball, the Spaniard won't have any issue, but is he ready to physically battle in the middle of the park? In previous seasons in La Liga, he was at the top when it came to individual duels, both in the air and on the ground. Let's see how it carries over to the Premier League. Problem number 3, the Gyokeres dilemma. The other player that Arteta will have to help integrate is Gyokeres. Before even putting pen to paper, Gyokeres had already established himself as a bit of a polarizing figure, which is wild because we're talking about a striker who's been putting up video game numbers for years. He scored 54 goals and registered 13 assists across all competitions in the 2025 season. Champions League, Portuguese League, Nations League, you name it, he was scoring in it. Even when Sweden crashed out early in the Nations League, he still finished as the top scorer. On paper, it's a monster signing. This is a player who was outscoring Haaland, Mbappe, Kane, everyone. So why is he seen as such a gamble? Well, a part of it is that many people feel that Gyokeres is another product of the Portuguese league, making a striker look very good. Now, there is some truth to this. The quality of opposition he has played over the years isn't that great. While the Primera Liga was ranked as the 8th strongest league in the world in the most recent update of Opta's power rankings, 11 of the 18 teams involved in it ranked outside the top 300 last season. Relegated Boavista, for example, who Gyokeres put 4 goals past, are ranked all the way down at 786. The other issue is the way that Gyokeres gets his goals. Gyokeres is a striker that thrives on pure chaos. He doesn't drop deep to link up with the play that much or create tiki-taka triangle. He thrives in space. He wants to run in behind, especially into the wide channel, and use his speed and strength to bulldoze defenders. He's a very direct player. Just look at the numbers. According to Skill Corner, Gyokeres made 85 high-speed sprints in behind in the 2025 season. That was more than double any other striker in the league. So it tells you exactly what kind of player he is. It's his biggest strength, but also the biggest challenge for Arteta. Because in the Premier League, that space isn't always there. Defenders are quicker, teams are more organized, and way tougher to break down, especially when they play Arsenal. They don't leave themselves open the way some teams did in Portugal. When there is space, Gyokeres will punish teams. Take his goal against Boavista. He picks up the ball in the left channel, his favorite zone, faces a defender one-on-one, chops onto his right foot, and rifles it into the bottom corner. Pure power. That left channel obsession is actually very good news for Arsenal, because in the 2024 season, only 32.9% of Arsenal's attacking touches came from the left third. The right side was all Saka and Odegaard. The left, kind of a ghost town. So plugging in a striker who thrives on that side should open up the attack. But again, what happens when the space is gone? What happens when teams are established in an organized low block? That's where the real concerns begin. Gyokeres isn't a link-up striker. He's not going to play like Haram Zimmer or Firmino. And he's not that dominant in the air either. Yes, despite the fact that he's built like a Roblox character, only a small percentage of his goals actually have come from headers. That said though, he's not helpless in tight areas either. He's got good movement in the box, and he knows how to use his body. Watch him against Chavez. He pins the defender, lets the ball roll across his body, and swivels in a clean left foot finish. That's what Arsenal missed in previous season. A true number 9 with a presence in the box. They crossed the ball more than almost anyone in the league, but barely created from it. With Gyokeres, that can change. A quarter of his touches in the 2025 season came inside the penalty area, so even when he's not sprinting in behind, he can cause a lot of damage. The ball just has to be played to him in the right areas. Now, while the low blocks will take some time to adjust to, Gyokeres immediately helps the team in their transitions. This is where Arteta can really cook with him. Arsenal were at the bottom when it came to turning ball recoveries into counterattack. Gyokeres fixes that. He's a nightmare in open space. Just look at what he did against Sturm Graz. He gets the ball with 3 defenders on him, drives forward, rounds the keeper, and scores. This is a goal created out of absolutely nothing. Even when he doesn't score, his presence alone causes problems. When Sporting were on the counter, Gyokeres just existing caused center backs to be pulled out of position, which opens space for others to exploit. But here's the catch. Arteta still has to adapt the system. Right now, Arsenal play a very controlled, possession-heavy style of football. They keep the ball a lot, waiting for the right moment. That doesn't really match how Gyokeres plays. So Arteta either has to tweak the system to include more direct vertical balls, or find a way to teach Gyokeres how to thrive in tighter, slower games. Now, it's not impossible by any means. People said that Haaland wouldn't work at City for the same reason. Too reliant on space, he wouldn't get that much time in the Premier League, League? Well, he proved everyone wrong by adjusting and using his freakish strength to bully defenders in tighter areas. Gyokeres can take a page out of the same book. If Arsenal want to lift silverware, they'll need someone who can turn half chances into gold. Gyokeres gives them that, but it's on Arteta to figure out how to unlock it, because if he does, this guy could be the final piece of the puzzle. Problem number 4, the Noni Madueke paradox. Gyokeres isn't the only player who brings with him concern. Noni Madueke is already dividing opinions. Arsenal spent big money on a winger who plays in the exact same position as Saka, the club's best and most consistent attacker. So from the get-go, it felt weird to spend that kind of money on a backup. Now, Madueke can play on the left. He played there a few times under Maresca, but it's not his natural role. So Arteta will have to figure out where to best utilize him. Is he going to be a super sub that comes on late in games to change the dynamic? Or is he a starting left winger? Or is he someone that is brought in to rotate with Saka so that he can get some rest throughout the season? Because depth is very important. Outside of the number 9 issue, it was the biggest thing that Arsenal had to deal with in the 2025 season. One injury to Saka and the season was basically done. The club is so over-reliant on this guy that he was still at the top of the assist charts despite missing like 3 months to injury. Now at least, if, knock on wood, something happens to Saka, there is another player that can step in without the team completely falling apart. Because Madueke at his best can be electric. He's a great one-on-one dribbler, he is fast, direct, and unpredictable. He prefers to cut inside onto his left, but he has no problem going to his right and shooting or cutting the ball back. That two-footed threat is actually what makes him so dangerous, because he's not just dribbling to show off. He's looking to create space to either shoot or assist someone. At Chelsea, he had the most starts as a winger for Maresca. Nobody at the club wanted him to leave or forced him out, so it's not like he's a Chelsea reject. He was unhappy and just wanted to leave. He managed 11 goals and 5 assists in all competitions for them, 7 of the goals coming in the Premier League. But here's where it gets tricky for Arteta. Madueke is not consistent. He'll have games where he looks unplayable, like that performance against Wolves, but then he'll disappear for weeks. The lack of end product is also what drove Chelsea fans mad. In the 2025 season, he underperformed his expected goals by 2.66. He should have had close to 10 league goals but only scored 7. It was actually the first time in his career where he underperformed his expected goals. So that could be seen as a good sign. Maybe he becomes better at Arsenal with better coaching and more structure. There are certainly signs that he can. Madueke ranked in the Premier League's top 15 for combined non-penalty expected goals and expected assists per 90 minutes. He was top 10 in shots per 90, 5th in touches inside the opposition box, and he led the entire league in shot-ending carries per 90. So again, he's not just dribbling for the sake of it. He's driving at defenders and actually turning those runs into chances. He averaged 1.98 successful dribbles per 90, which is very close to Saka, who at 2.13, and way ahead of Martinelli and Trossard. There is talent in him, but it will be Arteta's biggest challenge to get the best out of Madueke on a consistent basis. If Arsenal go on to win a trophy, no one will care how much it costs. But another second place finish with 0 titles will beg the question, why was so much money spent on a rotational player? Problem number 5, getting Odegaard back to his best. One of the biggest challenges that Arteta faces this season isn't just figuring out how to fit in all the new signings, it's figuring out how to get Martin Odegaard back to his best. Because the 2025 season was a rough year for the skipper. Some fans will say the warning signs have always been there. Even when Odegaard was playing well, there were little things. His tendency to slow the game down, his reliance on flicks. When it works, it's beautiful, but when it doesn't, you find yourself wishing that he just play a quick pass in behind or take a shot early instead of overcomplicating things. And maybe that's not all on him. Arteta's whole system is based on control, fewer risks, more passes, slower build-up. So it's fair to say that Odegaard is playing the way that the manager wants. But even with that, this is just who Odegaard has always been. He's not a transition machine. He's a player who thrives in tight spaces, who shines when unlocking low blocks, and threading passes in zones that are more packed than the line outside Bonnie Blue's hotel on a Friday night. Another criticism is his predictability. Because he loves to cut in on his left so much, he becomes very easy to read. He always wants to cut inside, always wants to shift the ball onto that stronger left foot. Some fans argue that this slows Arsenal down. Now normally it wouldn't matter because his left foot was so magical, but in the 2025 season, that was not the case. His injury definitely played a big part. He came back relatively quickly from an ankle sprain, but he never looked right. His shooting was off. He wasn't striking the ball with confidence. The rocket he nearly scored against PSG was the closest we ever saw Odegaard at his best. He just didn't look sharp physically, and when your game is built around quick touches, balance, any loss of physical sharpness makes a big difference. And then there's the expectations. People want Odegaard to be that guy, the difference maker, the game changer, but he's not really that kind of player. He's He's more of a Robin than a Batman. When Saka was injured, Odegaard was suddenly expected to carry the entire team, and that's just not his role. Odegaard works best when he has runners around him, when Saka is on the right making those diagonal darts, when Havertz or whoever's up front pulls defenders wide to open passing lane. So now the big question is, does his role have to change? A lot of fans have started asking, is he really a number 10? Maybe he's more of an advanced 8, like a Bernardo Silva. Less Kevin De Bruyne and more of a player that just helps the team tick. Maybe you should play deeper and let someone else take up that final third responsibility. Fortunately for Odegaard, the arrival of new players like Madueke and especially Gyokeres should help him out. Now he has more runners. Gyokeres isn't just going to stand still and wait for the ball. He's constantly making those sprints in behind. He's dragging defenders away, creating space, giving Odegaard someone to release the ball to. And Madueke adds another layer. He's another player that stretches the game wide and he's direct. All of that opens up more pockets for Odegaard to operate in. With better movement ahead of him, he doesn't have to force things. He can play those first time passes again. He can spot those in behind runs. And more importantly, he won't have to feel like he's doing it all alone. So yes, 2025 wasn't his best year, but let's not act like this guy's finished. Odegaard is still one of the smartest midfielders in the Premier League, still the captain, still crucial to the way Arsenal play. Arteta just has to put him in the right situation again. To see just how good Odegaard looked at his best, you have to watch this video right here.